Blessings and greetings, greetings and blessings, blessed souls. We're alive because we're meriting to stay alive in this most existential of moments with the intent of being configured toward Chaim, instructions of life, toward Chesed, instructions of kindness, toward Rachamim, instructions of mercies. I like to verbally cut and paste from a teaching from a gathering that took place almost 79 years ago. Will be on the day of Purim, the Purim Surah, the festive Purim feast, festive meal, which the sixth Chabad Rebbe, Yosef Yitzchak Schneerson, spoke about the origins of the Jewish people in terms of what we are called and how two terms emerged during the time of the story of Purim, which took place approximately about 2,380 plus years ago. And the Rebbe talked about the idea that a term that can correctly describe the national origins of the Jewish people is the term Ivri or Hebrew. As in the verse that says, if you go to Genesis chapter 14, verse 13, and the refugee came and told Abraham, Ivri, Abraham the Hebrew. This is a name by which Jews were known from the time of the patriarch Abraham or Avraham. It signifies that the Jewish people are the children of Avram Avinu, Abraham our father, whose identity hardly needs explaining. And then we wanted to remind those present almost 79 years ago, and thus therefore for our generation as well, because his talk was preserved, and now we're sharing it, that Avraham Avinu, Abraham, our father, the patriarch, was the first to make the Creator's name known to mankind. He taught that Creator is the creator of the world and conducts its every detail, and taught human beings how to serve Creator. Disregarding all physical danger, he advanced his holy work. The title Ivri is associated with the crown of a good name, Keser Shem Tov, that the Jewish people possess. It denotes the lofty trait of self-sacrifice for the observance of divinely given Torah and its commandments at all times and wherever lands we happen to find ourselves. This is how the people who bore this title lived their lives. Generation after generation, men and women, old and young, with self-sacrifice in the face of formidable perils, and there were many perils, even to this day. This vigilant observance became weakened only in the times of the kings of Judea and Israel, when the robust 1,000-year-old Torah and commandments, Ivri, the Hebrew, assumed a new countenance, a new way to present himself or herself. In part, he acquired a political soil and stature as a member of an independent nation. From the very first day on which the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov were crowned with the esteemed title Ivri, they were God's nation. The whole world, even Amalek, which was the first nation to wage war with us after we left Egypt, knew the Jews, the seed of Abraham, were the chosen people, God's nation. When the political Ivri, the political Hebrew, arose, he proclaimed himself in the eyes of the world as a nation severed from, Hashem should have mercy upon us, from God. Such people proclaimed themselves as accomplished political experts, whose first move was to dismiss the Torah view altogether, and to replace certain areas of Torah and its commandments by various alternatives. In this way, two kinds of Hebrews came into being. The Torah learner and mitzvah commandment observer Hebrew, then there became the political Hebrew. This will enable us to understand the words of Yonah the prophet, Vayimar aleim Ivri anochi, when Yonah was on the boat that was being tossed at sea because he did not want to go to the nation of Nineveh. He said to the sailors as he was on the boat that was being tossed about in the sea, said, I am a Hebrew and I stand in awe of Creator, the Lord of heavens. Finding the general term Ivri insufficient, Yonah had to add the significant explanatory words, and I stand in awe of God, the Lord of heavens. Because already by the day of Jonah the prophet, Yonah Hanavi, there already were two kinds of Hebrews, the genuine Hebrew and the counterfeit one. And that is why Jonah had to add the distinguishing mark of Yireh Shamayim, fear of heaven, standing in awe of heaven, to make it clear that he was one of the genuine Ivrim, genuine Hebrews. Such a profanation on the part of the counterfeit Ivrim, false Hebrews, was much more than the Jewish people could swallow. Accordingly, heartache notwithstanding, they utterly renounced the name Ivri, Hebrew, and called themselves with the name Yehudi, Jew. The name Yehudi not only repudiates the political Ivri, the political Hebrew, who serves any kind of idol that can advance his godless political work. In addition, is a hallmark for Mesiras Nefesh, self-sacrifice, that is mandated directly by the Pintaliyah, the essential soulful quality of each and every one of the nation of Israel. The innermost spark of a Jew's soul, urging him or her to observe the commandments and practice and despise the deceptive antics of those who deny our God and his law and his Torah, and a solemn promise to us of the ultimate redemption may come speedily in our days. As one of now the political advisors of Achashverosh, king of Persia, Haman, son of Amalek, had many acquaintances among the political Hebrews. And guess what? The political Hebrews wined and dined together with Haman. And the political Hebrews enjoyed the company of Haman, and Haman enjoyed the company of the political Hebrews. He sensed no conflict of interest with those with whom he hobnobbed. There was no hint by which he could detect that they were of Jewish stock. Nor did he know that they spoke Ivrit between themselves. They spoke Hebrew amongst them. But these political Hebrews bowed and kneeled before that villain and were not troubled by his anti-Semitic religious slanders. We see this today also by the political Hebrews of our time. They stand silent while people utter ultimate and just outright hatred of our people and of our nation and our standards as a Torah-observant nation. What Haman could not understand was why Mordechai was different from all the other Hebrews. After all, Mordechai was not also a political figure. He was an accomplished polyglot, a man who was associated with the most influential personalities of the administration. What made Mordechai different than these other Hebrews who did not embrace the same values as him? But what were his values? Haman asked himself. He received his answer only when his subordinates told him that Mordechai was a Jew, a Yehudi, and explained to him the real difference between an Ivri, political Hebrew, and a Yehudi, a Torah-observant Jew. The name Ivri, they explained, as a political label. A person so described can even be an opponent to the nation who accepted the Torah, and therefore can be against the learning of Torah and the fulfillment of mitzvot, of commandments, or even belong to a different faith. A name of this kind is no more than a label indicating the bearer's opinion. It means that in his opinion, a particular country belongs to a particular nation, this opinion being unconnected with the speaker's faith or lineage. The name Yehudi, by contrast, exclusively denotes the authentic Jew who believes in Creator and courageously observes the Torah and its mitzvahs and commandments to the point of self-sacrifice. So paradoxically, while Haman felt a camaraderie with the political Hebrew, Haman hated and loathed the genuine Jew. It was only at this point that he noticed that Mordechai neither rose nor shuddered at his approach. Mordechai wouldn't bow down to Haman as the political Hebrews would. Now, there are two distinct kinds of honor with diverse motivations, esteem and fear. Honor that is motivated by esteem finds expression in a person rising reverentially. Honor that is motivated by fear finds expression in a shudder. And the Holy Tongue terms that these two reactions come, which means rose, and za, shudder. So Haman was taken aback by the fact that Mordechai did not rise before him. And even before the fact that he did not shudder, however deluded and intoxicated he may have been, Haman understood full well that the honor he was shown on all sides was prompted not by esteem but out of fear by the political Hebrews. Having been given unlimited authority by Achashverosh to punish whoever he liked and by whatever means he pleased, he was assured of a full measure of honor by those who feared him. The fact that Mordechai, a Yehudi, did not rise indicated his integrity. The fact that he did not shudder indicated his general faith and trust in the Creator. In the most wretched and gloomy times of exile, when the counterfeit Hebrews had the gall to maintain that they represented the Jewish people, at a time when Haman was a royal advisor, at a time such as this, Mordechai had the God-given strength to be cheerfully unbending with a joy. And just as Mordechai's understanding ignored Haman's political wiles, so too his body ignored Haman's power to punish. What now surfaced was the genuine Jewish refusal to rise in deference or to shudder in the presence of Haman himself. It was this point that his mean and cruel heart flared up in a determination, meaning Haman, to, quote, destroy, kill, and annihilate all the Jews. The Yehudi that confronted him drilled holes in his equanimity. His Amalekite and Agagite ancestry brewed within him and gave him no rest. With all his might, he undertook a campaign to annihilate, quote, all the Jews, the nation of Mordechai, all the Shabbos observers. This may seem seen from the plain to Achashverosh that his Jewish subjects were forever shirking their civic duties by claiming, quote, today is Shabbos, today is Pesach, today is Passover. Accordingly, realizing the power of his money, Haman offered Achashverosh 10,000 talents of silver for the pack of Jews who lived in his empire, which spanned 127 countries. Now, even if Haman was able to distinguish between the political Hebrew and the true Yehudi, true Jew, intending to wipe out only the Yehudim and not the counterfeit Hebrews, the political sycophants, Haman's sons and associates knew no such distinction. They despised and persecuted the Ivrim, the Hebrews, exactly as they did the Yehudim, Jews. They too were shown the door and driven out in disgrace out of all their positions of authority. They were not helped in the slightest by their unbridled conduct, their flattery, and their entertainments. The political Hebrews were robbed of their wealth, their gold and silver, and their jewelry. They were spat on and driven out of their mansions and deprived of their idols. They were reminded of the ancestry they had forgotten and suppressed, and the woes that now confronted them were common to the seed of Avraham Avinu, whether the individual was identifiable as a Yehudi, a true Jew, or a Ivri, a political Hebrew. At that better time, Mordechai reinforced the educational work in the capital city of Shushan, in the splendid kingdom of Persia, the empire of Persia, we should say. Alone, he assembled 22,000 children who studied Torah and observed the mitzvahs at great personal risk and thereby demonstrated their pride in being Jewish. All the Jews, all the Yehudim, without exception, men and women, old and like, the more learned and the less learned, were armed with the preparedness for self-sacrifice, ready to be slaughtered or burned for the observance of Shabbos, for the dietary laws, for the laws of family purity, for the commandment of tefillin. Proud to be Jews, they scorned Haman's band, the religious persecutors. Seeing this, the Hebrews grasped the truth of Mordechai's warning years earlier that they should not rely on their political tricks, their financial security, and their social connection. But with one breath of God's fury, the mighty politician becomes the merest fool. And the most influential millionaire becomes the sorriest of paupers. They crumble physically and even more morally. The earnest resoluteness of the self-sacrificing Jews awakened the inextinguishable Jewish spark in the Ivrim and the Hebrews. They now too return to the authentically Jewish life-giving wellspring of untainted faith in God and in the observance of the commandments. Many of them now renounced the false idea whereby one could be a Jew without God and without Torah and mitzvahs. They parted company with the political Hebrews and began to observe Shabbos, the kosher dietary laws, the laws of family purity, fulfill the mitzvah, tefillin, and so forth. In a word, the spiritual tone of Jewry at large in Shushan and in the 127 provinces at large were caught up in the flame of self-sacrifice, the Torah and its commandments. In the meantime, Haman and his associates went ahead with his dark scheme to eliminate the Jews from all lands of the kingdom. Being unable to decide on a fate, he cast lots and arrived on the 13th of Adar. Accordingly, on the 13th of Nisan, in the year 3404, which would be 20 376 years ago, a royal edict issued to all the 127 provinces decreed that the 13th of Adar, 11 months later, was the day in which all the nations of the emperor were to liquidate all the Jews. And tonight now is the 13th of Adar, 2,376 years later. Amalek and his band are gone. We, the descendants of the people of Mordechai, are still here. On the third day of the repentance that embraced the entire Jewish people, the first day of Pesach, of Passover, in the year 3404, it was decided in the heavenly court that the Creator would send his salvation to all the Jews of the empire. The next day, as Mordechai was teaching some of the pupils the law of Kamitzah, which is connected to the avoda of the Kohanim, I believe, how much flour they would hold in their hand, they caught sight of Haman approaching their teacher. Mordechai warned them, "Run away and escape from the hands of this man." But they cried out together, "Children," or the pupils, I should say. It was students, not necessarily children. He said, "We are with you, whether for life or for death." Coming straight from the pure hearts of these tender Torah students, these words gave us some measure of the degree of Mesiras Nefesh, self-sacrifice, that the Jews at that time had attained. Blessed souls, I want to share with you that we are living in such times where if we look deep into what we just shared, we can see that there are many parallels between those times and this time. There's a lot of negativity, but the positivity of total dedication, Mesiras Nefesh as we call it, can overcome. Hopefully with our good thoughts and our prayers and our good speech, action, we shall triumph in a way of, with our ultimate intent of a hava chad, one love, gorla chad, one destiny of all of us, but dar chinom dar kishom, in a pleasant, peaceful way. And I must conclude with reminding everyone that I've got to be good, you've got to be good, we've all got to be good, because it's teva tov lehetiv, it's the nature of the good, do good. Creator waits ever so patiently for us to activate that goodness. That being said, I also want to remind everyone as we segue out of today's or this evening's humble effort here that we should never forget a mnemonic of God. The of Av is Ahava. The Va is the base of Bracha, blessing. Gimel is Gaiva, arrogance. And the Dalet is Dalos or Dalet is poverty. May we cling to the first half of this mnemonic. Av, Ahava is Bracha, love is blessing. And stay clear from Gaiva is poverty of spirit, soul, intellect, and emotion. And may we fulfill what is incumbent upon us as 7.7 billion stewards of this earth, all blessed and never be disappointed. We realize we've been anointed with something which is not a dream, our Tzelem Elokim, our divine image, which empowers us to get out and scrimmage on this blessed earth, to remove hatred, jealousy, and competition, which are three matters which have to be eliminated or will be eliminated at times of the universal redemption. May it take place speedily in our days, like right now. Take care. Freilich and Purim, everyone have a Purim Sameach, a happy Purim. You're not celebrating Purim, have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. Let's meet next time, a meeting of the minds at the point of universal redemption.